This video is brought to you by
Cool green clothing coming straight up out of that DMV. You know what it is. This that Baltimore designer right here. Come on now, come and show some love and show some support. Go online right now, coolgreenclothing.com, and make your purchase. Oh yeah, by the way, if you ain't cool and getting the green, you're in the way, and that's just basic.
It's your girl, Mrs. Tony 2 times, and I'm back with another episode of the Baltimore Way. In this video, I'll be discussing a tragedy involving Lakeyria Doughty, also known as the Wheelie Queen, who was charged in the slaying of her girlfriend, Tiffany Wilson, on New Year's Day, 2021. But before we get into this video, please hit the like button and make sure you subscribe if you haven't already. Don't forget to hit the notification bell so you don't miss out on any more stories like this or any future uploads. And of course, feel free to share this video with everyone you know. Also, if you'd like to see more episodes of The Baltimore Way, please click the link to the playlist in the description box after this video to get caught up. And a very special shout out to our subscriber who requested this video. All right, let's get right into it. Lakeyria Doughty hails from West Baltimore's Lexington projects. At the age of 11, Lakeyria rode her first bike. At 13, Lakeiria's father got her very first dirt bike. Before his untimely passing, Lakeiria's father encouraged her to compete hard towards becoming the best rider she could be. As a teenager, Lakeyria stood out among Baltimore's male-dominated dirt bike scene, even being once associated with Baltimore's infamous dirt bike crew, the 12 O'Clock Boys. Her skills are impeccable. She was effortlessly able to nail the 12 O'Clock Boys' signature wheelie that garnered them the name. With the writer's admiration for Lakeyria and her talent, she was crowned the Wheelie Queen. Lakeyria was reaching stardom before the age of 20. In 2013, she was featured in a documentary about Baltimore's dirt bike culture. It was released at a film festival in 2014. From there, the Wheelie Queen was featured in multiple blog write-ups, interviews, and stories throughout the years. In one mini-doc done by Refinery 29 on Lakeyria in 2018, she shared a day in her life as the Wheelie Queen. The piece featured her riding through the streets of West Baltimore, in one scene even dodging a prowling BPD patrol car. Lakeyria spoke of one day being able to ride freely in a designated place of the city without having to break any laws. She spoke of the impact her father had on her life as she visited his gravesite. As Lakeyria spoke on her success and dedication to writing, her mother looked on with pride. Lakeyria was on her way to becoming a star. The dream continued to become a reality after Lakeyria was featured in HBO Max's 2020 show, Charm City Kings. Lakeyria was dubbed a bona fide actress and now rubbing shoulders with the likes of Hollywood. But on the first day of 2021, things took a tragically fatal turn for 26-year-old Lakeyria and her then-girlfriend, 33-year-old Tiffany Wilson. On December 31st, 2020, the couple started having issues when Tiffany found out that Lakeiria's night out on New Year's Eve with some friends included an ex-girlfriend. Tiffany had been at her mother's house for a New Year's Eve party. Tiffany's mother noticed her on her phone a lot, and she was gradually getting upset as the night went on. Tiffany and Lakeyria were exchanging text messages between each other. Tiffany implied that she was done and wanted to break up. She demanded that Lakeyria return the keys she had to her apartment and to leave her alone. Lakeyria made the decision to go to Tiffany's apartment that night to pick up her belongings instead of the next day, as Tiffany requested. Tiffany left her mother's place around 3 a.m. Out of concern, Tiffany's mother sent a family member to follow her daughter because Tiffany was intoxicated. Lakeyria arrived at Tiffany's place between 3 a.m. and 4 a.m., not knowing Tiffany would be there. Both women ending up at the apartment while the other was there proved to be a recipe for disaster. At 4:15 a.m. on January 1st, 2021, Baltimore 911 received a frantic call from Lakeyria Doughty, pleading for an ambulance to be sent to an address in the 1200 block of North Stricker Street. Lakeyria can be heard saying, "Come on, stay with me, Tiff," telling the operator that she was conducting CPR and told them her girlfriend Tiffany had been stabbed. The operator told Lakeyria that CPR would not help if she was still breathing. They told Lakeyria to just stay calm until help arrived. They asked more questions about the incident, and Lakeyria told them she had come into Tiffany's apartment and found her on the ground with a knife in her hand. The operator asked more questions, and Lakeyria responded by saying that Tiffany was drunk and they had an argument. Then Lakeyria broke down and became hysterical. When BPD arrived at the Sandtown Westminster apartment, Lakeyria answered the door for officers and then ran upstairs. Officers walked in on a disheveled scene. Furniture was out of place. There were scuff marks on the wall. There was hair, jewelry, and eyelash extensions on the stairs. As officers made their way into the kitchen, they found Tiffany lying on the floor, covered in a blanket. An officer ran for their medical kit. Body camera footage captured Lakeyria yelling, "No, no, Tiffany is gone." When EMTs arrived, Tiffany was rushed to the hospital, but sadly had already succumbed to her injuries. Police took Lakeyria in for questioning. Lakeyria told detectives that she and Tiffany had no problems in their relationship and that they had not been in an argument. But after Lakeyria gave detectives permission to go through her cell phone, detectives found the messages that painted a very different picture from what Lakeyria had told them. When detectives brought the messages from that night to her attention, Lakeyria responded by saying that they were other messages that were not confrontational and showed a different side of their relationship. Detectives also found blood on Lakeiria's clothes, which would contradict her account of finding Tiffany already wounded. However, when detectives dug deeper, they found out that Tiffany and Lakeyria had domestic problems in the past. Officers also interviewed family members of Tiffany who said that Lakeyria and Tiffany's relationship was volatile and tenuous. With enough probable cause, Lakeyria was arrested and charged in connection with Tiffany's slaying. She was booked into central booking and held without bail. The medical examiner ultimately ruled Tiffany's passing a homicide based on her injuries and evidence from the scene. Tiffany was a mother of one. Her untimely slaying was Baltimore's first homicide of 2021. Just months after her debut in Charm City Kings, Lakeyria was under public scrutiny. Some of her Dirtbike counterparts, like the 12 O'Clock Boys, began to distance themselves from the Wheelie Queen as she remained behind bars. The 12 O'Clock Boys made a statement saying that Lakeyria was not a part of the group. Lakeyria was offered multiple plea deals, which she all rejected. Lakeiria's first trial took place in June 2022. During this trial, Lakeiria's accounts of what happened when Tiffany lost her life had changed. Lakeyria took to the stand claiming self-defense. She admitted to lying to police in her initial statement. Lakeyria testified that Tiffany's wound was self-inflicted after they got into a physical altercation during an argument that night. She said she lied to the police to protect Tiffany. According to Lakeyria, it was an intoxicated Tiffany who came at her first with the blade. She said Tiffany was holding her while they struggled, and she was able to break free from Tiffany's grip before falling on the kitchen floor. Lakeyria said when she looked back towards Tiffany, Tiffany had fatally struck herself after falling onto the kitchen counter with the blade in her hand. However, the prosecution described a different scenario. They believe Lakeyria was upset that Tiffany was breaking up with her, went to Tiffany's apartment to confront her, and intentionally slashed Tiffany in a fit of rage during the argument, causing Tiffany to lose her life. The prosecution cast doubt on Lakeyria and her testimony. The state called several witnesses to the stand, presented DNA and physical evidence. Despite strong closing arguments, the trial resulted in a hung jury and declared a mistrial by the judge. A juror couldn't decide whether Lakeyria acted in self-defense or not. Lakeyria remained locked up until her trial was rescheduled again and was finally set to begin in January 2024. After the 3-day trial, it took the jury 9 hours over 2 days to convict Lakeyria Doughty of manslaughter for the slaying of her girlfriend, Tiffany Wilson. The jury believed Lakeyria acted in some self-defense but contributed to Tiffany's slaying. 3 years after the horrific incident, Lakeyria was sentenced to the maximum of 10 years in prison on the same day she was convicted. May Tiffany Wilson rest in peace. My belated condolences to her family. My well wishes are with them. It's very sad and unfortunate that Tiffany had to lose her life over an argument with someone she had been in a relationship with. Her life just tragically cut short. I wish both women would have avoided each other that night. Maybe the tragedy would not have happened and they would have gone their separate ways without incident. Now Tiffany's child has to be without their mother, a family ripped apart. With time served, Lakeyria may get out in just a couple of years. Will the Wheelie Queen ever be able to redeem herself from such a tragedy? This situation serves as an example of why it's important to avoid doing things out of anger or while you are angry. I don't think we realize how quickly anger and rage can shift things for the worst possible outcome. Anger, emotions, and alcohol are a bad combination. Again, may Tiffany Wilson rest in peace. Fam, please tell me your thoughts on this story in the comments below. All right, fam, that's it for this episode of The Baltimore Way. Thank you so much for watching. Please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. This is your girl, Mrs. Tony 2 Times, and I'm out.